had tricked all of the local farmers out of their chickens. Well, not all the chickens, but most of them. But in fact, Tricky was getting tired of eating chicken. He talked to his brother. He said, "Brother Fox, I'm tired of stealing chickens. I want to steal something bigger. I want to steal a pig." And Brother Fox said, "A pig? You can't steal a pig. Why, pigs are bigger than you are. You're a fox." And Tricky Fox said, "I'm going to do it. I'm going to steal a pig." Brother Fox said, "Well, how are you going to carry that pig?" "Well, I'm going to carry the pig in this big brown bag." And Brother Fox said, "How are you going to get the pig into the bag?" And Tricky said, "That's the tricky part. I'm going to trick the owner of the pig to put it into the bag for me." And Brother Fox said, "Tricky, if you can do that, you will be a tricky fox. And in fact, I don't think you can. If you can do that, I'll eat my hat." Tricky Fox said, "Brother Fox, get ready to eat your hat. I'm going to go get a pig right now." And Tricky Fox went walking down the road with that sack over his bag, or over his shoulder, walking along, looking for a farm that he could work at to get a pig. And then he came to one. It was a big farm. He could tell he'd found the right one because they had chickens, and they had cows, and they had horses, and they had sheep, and they had pigs. All right. And they had a great big swing set. And they had a twirly slide. And they had bikes and trikes and a basketball hoop and bouncy balls, because he had come to the local country school. And the woman who ran the school, she ran the farm, because of course everybody knows that a teacher can multitask better than anybody. Well, Tricky, he walked over to the chicken coop and he grabbed a chicken out of the chicken coop. And he stuck that chicken into his bag. And then he walked up to the door and knocked at the door. And then he waited for someone to come. And while he was waiting, he scrunched down low like he was very old. And then the teacher came to the door. She opened the door. She said, "Yes." And Tricky said, "Oh, madam, I'm so old and tired, and I have so far to go. I was wondering if I could come in and rest by your fire tonight." And the teacher said, "Yes, you may come in, but no tricks." And Tricky said, oh no, I'm too old for tricks, but I am worried about my bag. I don't want anybody to look in my bag. Would you watch my bag while I sleep?" The teacher said, "Yes, I'll watch your bag while you sleep." She took the bag and brought it into the kitchen. Tricky curled up by the fire and pretended to go to sleep. But out of the corner of his eye, he watched as the teacher worked the rest of the day with the children. And then he watched as she finished with the children, and then the children got picked up by their parents one by one until they were all gone home. And then she cleaned up the classroom, and then she got things set for the next day. And then she walked over to the bag, and she looked at that bag, and she thought, "I wonder what he has in that bag. I wonder why he doesn't want me to look in that bag. I wonder what he's hiding in that bag." But I promised not to look. So then she got herself ready to go out, and she put her coat on. She went outside, and she fed all of the animals. She fed the chickens, and she fed the cows, and she fed the horses, and she fed the sheep, and she fed the pigs. And then she came back in, and she washed herself up, and she got ready to feed herself. She sat down and she ate her supper. And while she was eating, she looked over at that bag. I wonder what he has in that bag. I wonder what he's hiding in that bag. I wonder why he doesn't want anyone to look in that bag. But I promised not to look. So then she finished supper, she did the dishes, and then I'm going to have to go for a walk, she thought. Otherwise, I'm just going to think about that bag. So she went for a walk around the farm. And then she came back in as the sun was setting, and she thought, well, it's time for bed. But there was the bag. Oh, I wonder what he has in that bag. I wonder what he's hiding in that bag. I wonder why he doesn't want anyone to look in that bag. But I promised not to look. So she tried to go to bed. She climbed into bed. She tried to sleep, but she couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned. All she could think about was that bag. She said, I'm going to have to look in the bag. I've just, otherwise I won't get any sleep. And then the children will have a very bad day. So she got up out of bed. She walked into the kitchen. She picked up the bag. And when she picked up the bag went... Bop, 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 bop. She thought, that's a very familiar sound. So then she tickled the bag, and the bag went... Bop, 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 bop. She thought, I know what makes that sound. She tickled the bag again. Bop, 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 bop. And then she opened the bag, and the chicken stuck its head out. Bop, 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 bop. And she closed the bag. She said, it's just a chicken. Well, what's so special about that? Ah, she set the bag down, and she went back to bed, and she got a good night's sleep. But while she was sleeping, Tricky got up. He walked over to the bag. He picked the bag up, walked over to the window. He opened the window and let the chicken out of the bag. And he closed the window. And then he set the empty bag down in the kitchen, and he curled up by the fireplace, and he fell asleep. But in the morning, he got up, he walked into the kitchen, he picked up the empty bag, turned to look at the teacher and said, Madam, somebody has looked in my bag. I came here with a pig in my bag, and now it's gone. What happened? And the teacher said, Pig? Pig? Why, you didn't have a... And then she remembered. She had promised not to look in the bag, and if she told him what was really in the bag, why, then he would know. So she said, oh, dear, well, I'm sorry you lost your pig. But you know what? I have many pigs here on the farm. I'll give you one of mine. Tricky said, thank you very much. And so she picked up that empty bag and she went walking outside to go get a pig to put in the bag. But when she got outside, she stopped. She said, wait a minute. He didn't have a pig in that bag, did he? No, he had a chicken in that bag, didn't he? Yes. Well, he's trying to trick me, isn't he? Well, we'll just see about that. And then, instead of walking over to the pig pen to get a pig, she walked over to her doghouse and she put her bulldog into the bag. And then she carried the bag back in. It looked exactly like there was a pig in the bag. She handed that bag to Tricky. She said, here you go, Mr. Fox. Here's your bag. Tricky took the bag, he put it over his shoulder, and he carried it down the road. He was so happy. He said, pig in the bag. He'd stop anybody who he knew, and he'd say, look at this. Pig in the bag, pig in the bag. I tricked the teacher, pig in the bag. He brought it home, he showed Brother Fox. He said, Brother Fox, have a look at this bag. Do you see that? Do you see it? Pig in the bag. You have to eat your hat. Brother Fox said, oh no, I've got to eat my hat. Oh, he started to eat. Oh, hats taste terrible. Tricky, if I have to eat this hat, I should at least get a look at that pig. And Tricky said, yes, let's have a look at this pig. He picked up the bag, and when he picked up the bag went, Rrr. Tricky said, whoa, Brother Fox, did you hear what that bag just said to me? Did you hear that? And Brother Fox said, yes. That didn't sound exactly like a pig, did it? No. And Tricky Fox said, no, it didn't sound like a pig at all. It sounded like something else. And then he poked the bag. And when he poked the bag went, Rawr! Whoa! Brother Fox, what's in the bag? And Brother Fox said, I don't know. Maybe your pig's got a cold or pneumonia or something like that. A bad scratchy throat. And Tricky said, it doesn't sound like a scratchy throat. It sounds like something else. He poked it again, and the bag went, Rawr! Whoa! Brother Fox, what should I do? And Brother Fox said, well, you're only going to know what's in the bag unless when you open the bag. So open the bag. So he opened the bag, and out jumped the bulldog. Row, 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 and chased Tricky Fox and Brother Fox all around the den, and then out the door they ran. And they ran all day until they finally got away from that bulldog. And when they finally got away, Brother Fox said, "Oh, Tricky Fox, have you learned a lesson from all of this?" Tricky Fox said, "I do believe I have learned a lesson. And the lesson I have learned is that it's very hard to trick a teacher." And that's the end of that story.